All right, and good evening on this special night for the South Florida Blitz, as we usually do this on Tuesday nights, not Monday nights. And I know there's a football game going on down at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. I know that the Dolphins are playing, but we had to do this in order to deal with the schedule shuffle that we have had here due to Hurricane Helene impacting a lot of areas that would be this would be the time slot usually would be airing the Gulf Coast Blitz, but a lot of teams are playing games tonight outside of pretty much Southwest Florida, down in Lee and Collier counties. Everybody along the coast up through especially Tampa, St. Pete, Pasco County, Hernando County, those counties in particular, they are sitting there playing their games right now. And for us, so we decided to flip the South Florida Blitz and the Gulf Coast Blitz. So the Gulf Coast Blitz will air in the time slot that the South Florida Blitz would air tomorrow night, 7:30 to 8:15, right here on FortHSFootball.com and the FortHSFootball.com social media platforms. If you're following us or not following us on social media, I should say, follow us at FortHSFootball. That's Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, and then hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. Really, honestly, to get closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, that'd be greatly appreciated, as we can start doing some additional things once we hit the 1,000 subscriber mark here on FortHSFootball.com and all the FortHSFootball.com Blitz shows. And first things first, we'll get into things. We'll do the Blitz lines and all that. We'll have a double shot of Blitz lines here on for the South Florida Blitz tonight, and then we'll have our pick six. But first and foremost, we'll go ahead and do this. Yes, we will get into the Blitz lines here, but let me go ahead and ask, because I'm going to share this on every show here. Taylor County, up in the Big Bend, there at Keaton Beach was the spot of the landfall for Hurricane Helene. And Hurricane Helene, it took out Keaton Beach, but also to the impact that there was a lot of impact, especially for the only high school in Taylor County. That's Taylor County High. And right now they are actually in need of supplies like water, Gatorade, a variety of snacks. They're looking for clothes and school supplies for one of their athletes whose siblings, the parents, his entire family lost their entire house due to Hurricane Helene. So one of their athletes is practically homeless at this particular point right now, and they need all the help they can get. And Coach Eli Biddy, who is the director of football operations at Taylor County, he said you can send supplies in care of him. That's last name is Biddy. He's the director of football operations. The address is 900 Johnson Stripling Road, Perry, Florida 32347. And we definitely want to share that with everybody here, because it's important to get that out there, and important to with everything to share this, because these schools are in a lot of need right now, especially like places like Taylor County, Madison County, Suwannee County. These schools are in need. And if you're in an area that can help, we would greatly appreciate seeing that help go to these schools, to these programs, to these communities that are in need. And if the more I learn about others, I will share those here over tonight and tomorrow on our Blitz shows here on FortHSFootball.com. All right. With that said, we'll get into the Week 6 headlines here. Nope, it's going a little too fast on me there on the clicker. But all right, if you got a comment, question, go ahead and hit our comments. South Florida, you got to get on it with these comments, especially no matter what night we're on. Comments, questions, we definitely want to hear from you. So hit that comment box, whichever social media platform you're watching us on, be it YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter/X. Give us some comments, give us some questions. We want to put those up on the screen for you. And we're going to roll along here as Jensen Beach gets back on track. They lost in Week 5 to Benjamin, but now they are 5-1 in the season after a 40-0 victory over district foe Port St. Lucie. And the Falcons are now in position for a district championship with 2 district games left. And this week, they get some much-needed rest. So the Falcons of Jensen Beach looking like they will be on the path towards a district championship. And 5-1, not bad at all for the Falcons. That could have been 6-0, but they had all that struggle there against Jensen Beach there. I mean, against Benjamin in week number 5. And as we roll along here in terms of our blitz lines here, Vero Beach picks up their 3rd straight victory here. Vero Beach started off 0-3, but the Indians moved to 3-3 after picking up a 35-0 victory against district foe and longtime rival Fort Pierce Central. And how about this? Champ Mons, a freshman, threw for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns, plus added a rushing touchdown, while Josh Lankenfort added another touchdown to the Indians' 5 scoring possessions. And Indians will host Booker T. Washington from Miami this coming week. And yes, that is on our pick 6 here for South Florida this week. And as I noted here, I'm going to bring it up. I'll bring it up here in a little bit here, but I do have the pick 6 from the week from what would have been aired last week then when we canceled the show. So I do still have the original slate of games for the pick 6. And I can tell you this, I would have in those picks there, when I'm looking at it, I would have gone, I would have lost I would have lost 2 of the games there because that's what I had down. Yeah, I went 4-2 on that slate that I had situated. But I'll tell you the games who I would have picked, and I'll tell you that they're in the pick 6 coming up here in the next little bit here on the South Florida Blitz. All right, again, Vero Beach picking up their 3rd straight win. So again, hosting Booker T. Washington here come Friday night at the Citrus Bowl. All right, how about this? Delray Beach. No, I'll have to get the clicker here. There we go. How about Delray Beach American Heritage? They are one of the teams that are looking really strong and looking like one of the best teams in the Sunshine State Athletic Association's Atlantic League with a 5-1 record now heading into week 7. How about this? 27-14 over Westminster Academy, who some people thought, that Westminster Academy was going to run into trouble here. And sure enough, Delray Beach American gives them some trouble. Mason Caston had a huge night for the Stallions. 3 rushing touchdowns on 13 carries for 113 yards while throwing for 132 yards and a touchdown. That is a huge night out on the gridiron for Caston there. Mason Caston, Delray Beach American Heritage. But that's not the only American Heritage we'll be talking about here tonight, because we will talk about the other American Heritage, the American Heritage that is nationally ranked, always in the national conversation, in the state championship conversation. And we will talk about them coming up here in the second set of our blitz lines here in part 2, coming up here in a few minutes. All right, as we roll along, 4 Palm Beach County teams still remain undefeated here. So actually, if I counted that right, excuse me, it should have been 5. I put that wrong in there, and I should have put that 5 because it is actually 5 right now. Kings Academy still undefeated, but they're playing their game right now. They're playing their makeup game as we speak, as we're on air. But Dr. Waheen Garcia, 6-0, Boca Raton 5-0, Glade Central 6-0, West Boca Raton 5-0. Honestly, I didn't have any of these teams being undefeated here at after week 6, but especially Dr. Garcia. Dr. Garcia being the newest program in Palm Beach County, I did not have them after their first season, this first year in district play, being 6-0 at this particular point. And definitely didn't see Glade Central at 6-0, but Glade Central definitely looking really, really good. But here it is. Boca Raton defeated Stoneman Douglas 53-0. Dr. Garcia at 17-8 over Boynton Beach. West Boca Raton smashed Dwyer 42-0, and Glade Central handled Clewiston 42-0. I mean, how about it for some of these teams? How about it? Because honestly, I would have never thought with some of these teams that they would be here at this particular point, especially after 6 weeks of games in the books. And these 5 teams have been doing it, and honestly, can't beat that when trying to look at the some of these teams that are not usually in the conversation in terms, especially for district championships, and or they haven't been in that conversation in a very, very long time. So hats off to those 5 teams right now still undefeated in Palm Beach County because I would not have those 5 on my list being undefeated from that county through 6 weeks. Anyways, rolling along here, Chaminade Madonna continued to roll, and barring the weather impact that impacted practices, Chaminade Madonna handed Western their 4th loss, which that's another team that really a lot of high expectations. Western had a lot of high expectations. A lot of people had high expectations on Western, but Chaminade Madonna lays another nail into that idea, beating the Wildcats 26-9. Preston Wright, 225 yards and a touchdown. While Kobe Howard and Erwin Jackson each had a rushing touchdown, and Jason Lopez was on the receiving end of Preston Wright's of 151 yards thrown by Preston Wright and a touchdown to give Chaminade Madonna their 4th straight victory to move them 4-2 on the season. So after that 0-2 start, Chaminade Madonna starting to roll here, and they're looking like they're headed towards state championship form here. So let's keep that in mind here. And I think I just lost my camera here, so hold on, everybody. Let's see if I can get the camera back up in line here, because I don't know what just happened. The camera just kind of just disconnected on me for some reason. I've not had this issue before. So let's try to. At least you can hear me here for the moment here. So let me see if I can't get this camera to start back up here. Hopefully it'll start here. So hopefully it will start for me. Come on. All right, guys, give me a second here. All right, there we go. The camera's back. Okay. Ooh, that was a close one. So I don't know what happened there on the camera, but the camera kind of just went out. So, but I moved it to a different port, so hopefully it will not do that again. Anyways, how about this one? Cardinal Gibbons edges Calvary Christian here. I mean, this one, I thought Calvary Christian was going to win this game because Cardinal Gibbons has been kind of struggling here and there, but 36-35. And actually, I'm going to try to get this pulled up here real quick because I finally got a box score from Cardinal Gibbons here. And yes, and I can give you a little bit more information on this game because this is where I was like really interested to understand here. But as we're looking at it, Calvary Christian had 317 yards of offense, but again, the Chiefs made it worth their effort at the end here. And looking at it here, how about this? Cardinal Gibbons, 310 yards, 300 total 10 yards. Actually, on I'm trying to pull it up here. Why it's giving me see, I see what's happening here. Is it's giving me a game that's from a couple months ago. Why? I don't know why it's giving me the score. I thought I had the right one, but anyways, they sent me the wrong one because usually I get the box scores every week from in the stats update from Cardinal Gibbons, and that's what I thought it was in the inbox because it came in during the last show, but it is not the correct box score. So I will leave that aside there. But Cardinal Gibbons definitely got a big win right there over Calvary Christian. And actually, for what the Chiefs did, they put Calvary Christian in their first loss of the season, and takes them off the teams that are not undefeated anymore. And there's only a handful of teams left in the South Florida Blitz region that are actually undefeated. And of course, 5 of those we mentioned are from actually, I forgot to put Cardinal Newman, and I am so sorry, but it should have been 16s. Cardinal Newman, I am so sorry about that. Cardinal Newman, that is no slight to y'all, but it's actually 6 teams from Palm Beach County and only 1 from Miami-Dade. That tells you what we'll talk about those teams in a moment here because there's only, again, a handful of teams left in South Florida that are actually undefeated here through 6 weeks of the season. All right. We're going to take our first water break. I needed to get some water in me. Maybe y'all might need some water. All right, take that water break. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on the South Florida Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com on our special night for tonight only, Monday night here, right here on the South Florida Blitz. All right, welcome back here to the South Florida Blitz here on this special night, this Monday night here, as we do a little schedule reshuffling with the schedules being reshuffled due to Hurricane Helene. And again, some games being made up in South Florida tonight here. I've got that list right here in front of me here. And of course, we got a bunch here tonight here. Lake Wharf at Park Vista, Kings Academy, Inland Grove, Palm Beach Lakes, Forest Hill, Palm Beach Gardens, Pahokee, Miramar, Pembroke Pines Charter, Monarch, Coral Springs, Edison at Avantgarde, Douglas at Cooper City, and Miami Springs at Booker T. Washington. And of course, tomorrow night, Tavera at Everglades. So again, a handful of games in South Florida being made up tonight. Of course, obviously, there's Monday Night Football going on with the Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans tonight. And so, but we had to do this, but we'll be back next week on our normal night for South Florida Blitz on Tuesdays, 7:30 to 8:15. And with that said, we are going to roll into our second part of the Blitz lines here. And as we roll along here, Miami Norland, team we talked about in the last show in our pick six. I guess they're going to be playing at Cocoa this week. How about this? Miami Norland rolls Archbishop McCarthy to their first loss. So yes, Archbishop McCarthy, they haven't lost a game since the 2022 season. Last year, they were undefeated in the regular season. They were independent last year, but that streak ended last night with the last Friday night with the Mavericks getting pounded by the visiting Vikings in district action. Inio Yapor had a huge night, 358 yards passing, 4 touchdowns on 17 of 28 completions. Dawson Quarterman was on the receiving end of the 145 of those yards and 2 touchdowns on just 4 catches. Yes, 145 yards on just 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. Defensively, the Vikings had a collective 82 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks, while Kenton Dobson, the third, and Jaden Daniels each had an interception for Norland. So, yes, the Miami Norland Vikings rolling along here, and of course it'll be a battle of of teams that were in the state championship game this past week. I said that Miami Norland, state runner-up last year, and Cocoa, a state champion. So a battle of teams that are top rated in the state, and that's going to be huge there for the Norland Vikings. After coming off a big win, they're going to go up the road I-95 to Cocoa this Friday night. All right, as I said, I mentioned earlier that we would talk about the other American Heritage. That is the American Heritage that we all know, and that is American Heritage Plantation bouncing back to that 3-point loss against Miami Central by pounding the Plantation Colonels right there. The battle of the two schools, 2 of the schools there in Plantation. American Heritage 35-0. Dia Bell threw for 302 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Dylan Bennett had a rushing touchdown for the Patriots. And American Heritage looking pretty good, and it will come down to American Heritage versus Miami Norland for that district championship down there in their district in Class 4A. So the Patriots looking pretty good after bouncing back pretty nicely after that loss to Miami Central. And the only game in the state that got played Thursday night, due to the Hurricane Helene canceling a lot of games in South Florida and across the other parts of the state, Archbishop Carroll edged True North in for a 20-19 victory. The Bulldogs used 281 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns from Kelsey Parrish, Max Rodriguez, and William Sokola for the victory. Zach Katz for True North had 180 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions were the biggest differences in that game for the True North Titans. And of course, now True North falling 2-2 on the season. Archbishop Carroll moves to 5-1, and then looking like they're in the position to win at another district championship here as we get further along here in the regular season. All right, rolling along here, we've got Miami Southbridge. How about this? Miami Southbridge upended Homestead in it looks like it's something that you saw 2 years ago, where Miami Southbridge upended Homestead. Homestead went to the state championship game that year, and of course, the Homestead being in the state championship the past 2 years, is this another scenario that's unfolding like how 2022 unfolded. But with that said, Miami Southbridge 17-14 victory in District 6A 16. The Spartans saw James Ferroni throw for 132 yards on 16 of 25 passing completions and a touchdown, while Shannon Smith scored the other touchdown. How about this? Miami Southbridge 5-1. Congratulations to them on the season while moving to 2-0 in the district. Homestead now is going to have to probably make the playoffs here at this rate through the wild card. So they're going to have to get a wild card berth here instead of trying to get into the postseason with a district championship. And how about Columbus? Columbus is starting to pick up things. And how about this? Their most points of the season so far with the 42-15 shellacking of South Dade. The victory for Columbus, it saw senior quarterback Jason Barquette throw for 3 touchdowns, according to Andre Fernandez at the Miami Herald. And 2 of those went to Miami commit Bryce Fitzgerald. And Barquette actually added another rushing touchdown. And Columbus could win their district championship this week in Class 7A District 16 with a victory over Miami High on Thursday night. So the Columbus Explorers could be district champs as early as Thursday night because they already have 2 district victories, and Coral Gables already is sitting at 0-2 in their district. So beat Miami High, your district champs are going to the playoffs. So the defending Class 4M state champions from the last 2 years could be right back in the postseason once more, despite the struggles they have had here so far in the first half of the 2024 season. And with that said, as I mentioned, how about this? The undefeated teams that are left in South Florida, and 6 of those are in Palm Beach County. 1 is sitting down in Miami-Dade County. There's actually 0 undefeated teams in Broward County. I know it's hard to believe. It is really, really hard to believe that the majority of the undefeated teams that are left are in South Florida are actually sitting in Palm Beach County. But that's not to say that these records are all going to stand like that. I have a feeling that some of these teams will eventually come off the list of being undefeated. But Cardinal Newman, I'll say this, Cardinal Newman looking pretty good here. I mean, they were supposed to play Tampa Jesuit. I was going to take them in that game last week, but unfortunately, that game is not being made up due to Hurricane Helene. But Cardinal Newman looking really good. But later on in the season, they're going to be coming up here on Halloween to Gainesville to play Buchholz. So that should be an interesting showdown between North Central Florida and South Florida here later in October. So with that said, again, West Boca Raton, Piper, actually, I'm sorry. Piper is the only team. I apologize. Piper is the only team in Broward County that's undefeated. No slight to Piper, but yeah, they are the one undefeated team. So I've got 6 teams sitting there in Palm Beach County right now. And then, yeah, I want to make sure that I'm counting that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually 6 teams in Palm Beach County, 1 in Broward, 1 in Dade. So again, not many teams left undefeated in South Florida. And there's actually not many teams that are left undefeated across the Sunshine State, period. So the number of teams are dwindling by the week. So, but it tells you how good our football is here when other teams, I love these battles that we have every week, and South Florida is no exception to that in terms of the battles that we have here on any given week. But again, the games tonight in the South Florida region: Lake Wharf at Park Vista, Kings Academy at Inland Grove, Palm Beach Lakes at Forest Hill, Palm Beach Gardens at Pahokee, Miramar at Pembroke Pines Charter, Monarch at Coral Springs, Miami Edison at Vanguard, Stoneman Douglas at Cooper City, and Miami Springs at Booker T. Washington. So that's the Monday slate for teams across the South Florida region here. So as we roll along here, we're going to take our second water break here, and then we're going to get into a fan question. If you got a fan question or you got a comment for us, drop it in the chat box wherever you're watching us at. That'd be on Facebook, YouTube, or X/Twitter. Drop us a comment. We'll post that up here on the screen here if you got one. And we're going to take our second water break here, and then we'll come back. We'll also have the pick 6 for week 7. I'll go over the pick 6 from week 6 since we didn't do the South Florida Blitz last week due to the preparations for the hurricane. But we'll do that right on the other side here of the 2-minute water break right here on the South Florida Blitz on FloridaHSFootball.com. All right, welcome back here to the South Florida Blitz, and we got some. Looks like we had a comment just popped in, and what? Oh, Mark Cannon, good evening to you. Watching the Blitz from Haines City, Florida, on YouTube. So definitely appreciate you tuning in to us as you're watching that Haines City football game tonight in a makeup game, and Billy Rayberg, who's actually watching the show from Bradford County. Well, they made it from the storm, and they played Keystone. So yeah, we'll talk more about Bradford and all that tomorrow night on the North Florida Blitz, starting at 8:30 right here on FloridaHSFootball.com. But I appreciate you, Billy, watching the show as well. And again, a lot it's with everything here, and see what teams in across the state making up some games tonight. And hey. Reno, how you doing? We may be talking to Reno here, some stuff here soon. So I just kind of giving away here a little bit, but we're gonna look at some stuff here. But Reno, a good guy, and watching us here from Gainesville, and of course we got our 2 shows tomorrow night. No, actually 3 shows, because we have the Drive the State show at 6:00 and new playoff rankings. The playoff rankings is what excites me the most at this time of year, because it's a battle of who is going to make the postseason and who's going to be sitting at home come November on that drive to December, the Drive to State. So, yes, excited about that. 6:00 tomorrow night, Eastern time, right here on FloridaHSFootball.com. All right. But with that said, I look at the right set of papers. I have our pick 6 sitting right here. But first, I'm going to go into this. Yes, it is that time, and I'm going to go into what I had for last week, because we did not talk about it, because we didn't have a show last week for the South Florida Blitz. And rolling along with that, we're going to discuss this one first before I put up my picks for the results from last week. So these are the games I had. I had Miami Norland at Archbishop McCarthy. I had Calvary Christian at Cardinal Gibbons, Jupiter at Palm Beach Central, Plantation at American Heritage, South Dade versus Columbus, and Southridge versus Homestead. Those were the 6 games I was going to have on the pick 6 last week for South Florida. So my picks would have been, I was going to take Norland against Archbishop McCarthy. That was going to probably be more likely a dead giveaway for everybody there on that one. Calvary Christian, I was actually going to take over Cardinal Gibbons, just because Cardinal Gibbons has struggled at this point. But Cardinal Gibbons won that game. I take an L for that one. I was going to take Jupiter over Palm Beach Central. Well, that didn't happen. Palm Beach Central won that game, handed Jupiter their first loss of the season. Plantation and American Heritage. Plantation, it should have been known right there that I would take American Heritage out of against the previously 4-0 Plantation in that game. I was kind of torn between South Dade and Columbus at one point, but I went Columbus on that pick, and Columbus definitely handed South Dade that game. That was supposed to have been played Thursday, but got moved to Saturday, so they got that game in on Saturday. And then Southridge versus Homestead. The way Homestead has played and the way they've struggled at times, I was going to take Southridge, so I did end up going a respectable 4-2 in terms of my picks there for last week in the South Florida Blitz. So, with that said, I'm 22-17, 0.564. I'm actually starting to improve on that percentage there in South Florida, so I'm kind of getting that number to go up. It was right now, last week it was sitting, before I put the stats in for the last 2 weeks of games, I was sitting around about 500, and but now I'm at 56%. So I will take it. I will take that any day of the week to be above 50% on my picks. All right. With that said, we are going to roll into our pick 6 for this week, and Miami Springs 3-1 at Ransom Everglades 3-0, and Miami Springs. Hey, this is interesting. It's 2 teams that don't get talked about a lot, but Miami Springs is sitting there looking at potentially a playoff berth this year. Their region definitely lends to being able to get that playoff berth. Ransom Everglades, they had a winning season last year. They're right now 3-0. Right now with about 5 games left on the schedule here for the remainder of the season, most of them not district games. And this is a district game here between Miami Springs, Ransom Everglades, and interesting enough, this one's a coin flip. It's at Ransom Everglades. It's right there on Biscayne Bay. If you ever seen photos of it, look. If you've not seen photos of it, I recommend looking at photos of their football field. It's right there on the water. It's a beautiful sight. One of the few places where you can play football right near the water in this state, quite literally. And With that said, I mean, the Golden Hawks, they have not had much success in terms of their football program, but I am going Miami Springs. I think Bill Daly, if Bill Daly, one of the freelancers for the Miami Herald for many years, he's a Miami Springs Golden Hawk, and he would be very happy that I'm taking them with this pick. So, that said, I think Miami Springs will get a win and work their way towards potentially maybe a district championship. So we'll see what happens there as we roll along. But Royal Palm Beach at Boca Raton 5-0, Royal Palm Beach 4-1. Chuck Kenyon's team looking pretty good there at Royal Palm Beach, but both Bobcats, they have been doing tremendously well. And this is going to be a hike for Royal Palm Beach, obviously coming to the north part of Palm Beach County, going all the way down to I-95 to Boca Raton right there. And I think the Bobcats are just really rolling. And Boca Raton is going to be my pick. And Reno puts it up, Boca Raton for sure. So I like it. He's agreeing with me on this one. So I love it. I dearly love it right there. All right. As we roll along here, our third game of the night for this week, for week 7, Monsignor Pace at Calvary Christian. Monsignor Pace 3-2, Calvary Christian 5-1. I wouldn't be surprised if Monsignor Pace wins this game, but at the same time, I think Calvary Christian, they're going to be fighting hard, especially losing to Cardinal Gibbons by 1 point. I mean, what no better than have a fire under your belly for being able to go out and say, hey, you know what? Last week was a fluke against Cardinal Gibbons. We shouldn't have lost that game. And I'm going with the Calvary Christian Eagles to take the victory here and get their 6th win of the season and secure a winning season for the 2024 season. And with that said, Booker T. Washington 2-2 at Vero Beach 3-3. Woo! Vero Beach, 3 straight wins. The Indians, yes, okay, 3 straight wins. But Booker T. Washington, there's just something about Miami teams versus Indian River County teams that doesn't know for teams along the Treasure Coast, I should say, it doesn't necessarily go as well as it looked, as I would say. And I feel like Booker T. Washington, they've had some downtime here, and I know the Tornadoes are going to be hungry as all get out for this. And okay, we know the environment at the Citrus Bowl in Vero Beach. It is loud, it is ruckus. The fans there are very supportive of their fighting Indians, but I think the Tornadoes come in and take the win. And Reno is saying, yes, Booker T. BTW is hungry. Yes, Booker T. Washington is hungry. And Nolly, hey, he even agrees with me. So I think they're hungry, very much hungry for this win. And I am taking Booker T. in this game here. All right, and there's the music. We got to get that going again because we're not done with our pick 6 yet. Not even close. How about this? This next game, Miami Palmetto 3-2 versus South Dade 2-3. Okay, this is a game that is basically, for lack of better words, it's either you do what you got to do, take care of business, or you're out. And I think this is one that South Dade needs actually more than Miami Palmetto. I think Miami Palmetto will, if they lose this game, they still get the postseason, but South Dade really needs this game. This is a district game. 7A, District 16. I honestly got to say, after that loss to Columbus on Saturday night, South Dade has got to be fired up to say, hey, we got to do here. We've got to go beat Miami Palmetto. Miami Palmetto, one of our rivals in the southern end of Dade County. But Miami Palmetto, the Miami Palmetto, they know how to play tight ball games, but they also know how to play ball games and put it much to their rivals. And this is one game that I think it's just going to be, they're going to put it to South Dade, and I'm taking Miami Palmetto for the victory here in this week. And South Dade is going to have to really figure it out from there how to make the postseason based upon at 2-4 with 4 games left on the schedule. That one of those 4 games, including the GMAC Bowl week coming up here in 2 weeks. All right, rolling along to our final game. I talked about this: Columbus 3-2, Miami versus Miami High 3-2. Columbus, you win, you're in. That's it. Now, the Stingrays of Miami High, one of the oldest high schools in the entire state, yes, they are showing some improvement, but I don't know if this is going to be that game they're going to be able to show some of those improvements. And Columbus, they're finally getting things going on offense. Okay, better late than never for the Explorers. And that's why I think Columbus will secure that district championship and be able to ride into the playoffs without any worries. The only worry they're going to have to worry about is what seeding can they potentially get, and winning games will matter. So with that said, that is my pick 6 for week number 7. And Reno chimes in and says Palmetto breezes through, and I think I agree. That's what's going to happen there. And slow that roll. Miami come out with a D for the win. Oh, he wants me to slow that roll. Ooh, I love it. I love it. That fire. Always got to have the detractor somewhere. So, but Nole is chiming in with Columbus. So, yes, it's going to be an interesting game for sure for Columbus and Miami High. But I think the Explorers are just going to take that one and get the district championship under their belt. With that said, all right, with that said, we're kind of wrapping up things here. With the show, we're kind of a few minutes early on the time frame, but that's okay. It's been great here so far, and being able to talk to y'all here in South Florida and across the state, as wherever you're watching us from. We definitely appreciate that, and thank you so much for the comments and the questions that y'all have popped in the chat tonight between all the social media platforms we're on. Again, remember, we are on Facebook. We're on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube. That is at Florida HS Football. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube as we get closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. I can't stress it enough that once we hit 1,000, we can start potentially doing some things on YouTube that would benefit everybody here watching our shows on all the Blitz shows and the Drive the State shows. So we definitely appreciate that. And of course, for everybody else watching, we got 3 shows tomorrow night. We got first the Drive the State, which is going to be 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Then we have the Gulf Coast Blitz at 7:30, which would have been the time slot that this show would air tomorrow night. But we're going to put the Gulf Coast Blitz again tomorrow night, 7:30, in the time slot that South Florida Blitz would normally air. And then, of course, the North Florida Blitz at 8:30 tomorrow night. So 3 shows tomorrow night, 1 for playoffs, 2 for the different region, the 2 other regions in the state that we have not touched yet, following after week 6, but we will definitely get those regions. I know last week we didn't have North Florida, but we'll have that. And I do have the picks again for North Florida last week. And some of those games that I'm looking at right now, actually a couple of them are actually being played right now as we speak. Actually, the majority of them are being played as we speak right now in North Florida's. But we'll talk about those games tomorrow night, again, on the North Florida Blitz. That's at 8:30. But anyways, we appreciate everybody watching and listening and talking to us. And we're going to wrap it up here. And yes, Reno, Newberry. Yes, Newberry is playing. And that's actually one of the 6 games that I actually had on my sheet tonight for week 6 was Newberry at Palaca. So we'll see how that is rolling here in a moment, going on later tonight here with the scores as they roll in. There's a lot of games, again, going on around the Sunshine State here. And as we wrap up week number 6 and go into week number 7. All right. With that said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching the South Florida Blitz here. Again, remember, South Florida Blitz usually 7:30 to 8:15 on Tuesday nights. We'll be back on that regular time slot next Tuesday night going into week 8. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow night, starting at 6 o'clock for the Drive the State show right here on FloridaHSFootball.com and the FloridaHSFootball.com social media platforms.